Is acupuncture medical or is it spiritual? Is it only for certain religions? I thought that was a good question. Um, One of my favorite memories is when I had only been in practice about a year, and I still had a small little practice, one room, and a woman came in for the first time to have her treatment, and she just stopped at the door and her jaw dropped, and she said, "You're white." And I'll never forget it because it was the first time that I had kind of been hit with the, oh, like people really do have a idea about acupuncture. Um, but acupuncture is medical. The idea that it's spiritual, there are people that approach it from that standpoint, but there's also people that approach, just about any kind of wellness out there. I know a doctor who does like holistic, spiritual type medicine, and you can practice anything from that standpoint if you wanted to. But the basis of acupuncture is in medicine. Where a lot of that idea that it's something woo woo comes from is honestly our own fault as acupuncturists, because when acupuncture was brought over to the US about 40 years ago, we defined chi, everybody's heard of chi, right? As energy. And it makes sense when it's used in a certain context, but it wasn't often explained in that context. And so instead, people heard of it as energy work and automatically started assuming that what we do doesn't have a basis in medicine. You'll see, unfortunately, going back to that dry needling thing, and I don't blame the providers for this, but even locally, there's a ton of physical therapists, even some chiropractors who have on their websites, how is dry needling different from acupuncture? And they're just spouting what they're taught. All right. So I don't fault anybody for this, but they're taught in these classes that they go to learn needling that acupuncture is based on energy and on aligning chi. And that's as far as they go. And so therefore they say that it's different. Chi, guys, yes, it's energy. It is potential energy between your cells. So anybody that has studied biology, physiology, anything like that, you know that the way that we function, the way that our body works is through a stream of electricity and communication between our cells. That communication, that is chi. That is what was originally being described 2 to 3 thousand years ago by people practicing traditional Chinese medicine, which is absolutely incredible when you think about it, that they realized that. They knew that that was it. They called it our animating force. Um, if the electricity stops going, you die. We measure that on, we see that on machines. Everybody's familiar with that sound, hopefully not too familiar with it. But chi is energy in the sense that it is what is keeping us alive. So when we work on chi, what we are doing is we are changing the way that energy flows into the body and into certain cells. And that's how we're able to affect so many different things, because what people found was that we can access and change the way that cells communicate with one another by sticking a metal object, right, conducts electricity into certain points in the body. And I have to give a shout out to my neighbor friend. He's a cardiologist, and he's the one that told me, he's like, you need to get on there and do a frequently asked questions things. But we were talking about how we know that he's seen that acupuncture plays a part in certain heart conditions, especially things like AFib. I treat AFib a lot. Um, and that's because it has an effect on the electricity of the body. So that's what chi is. Um, the idea, when you just call it energy and then you don't explain further, that's where the idea that acupuncture is spiritual came from. And the other part of that question was, is it only for certain religions? No, it's medical. It's not about, you don't have to believe in any certain thing. You don't have to worry that I'm going to tell you that you have to believe in this thing and this has to happen to your body in order for it to work. So anybody can come in and get it as long as you're comfortable